Renault is having a bit of a tough time of things at the moment in Europe, so there's never been a better time to introduce a brand new version of its bestseller. This is the all-new Clio, and clearly they're proud of their work. Just look at the size of that badge on the bonnet. But why wouldn't they be? Personally, I think it looks fantastic. There's just one thing I want to show you down here. The last model, that was available as a 5 and a 3-door. This one, well, it's going to be just a 5-door, but they've hidden the handle in the C-pillar here, so it's still got that coupe-like profile. Very clever indeed. Other important things for this car, well, Renault says it's going to take personalisation to a whole new level. So this flame red is one of 7 colours you can get. You'll be able to get stickers on the bonnet, stickers on the roof, different coloured wheels and different coloured trim inside and out. Speaking of which, let's take a look inside. This new Clio is actually longer, wider and slightly lower than the car it replaces. That means there's a little bit more interior space in here and a little bit of a bigger boot as well. But what I really want to tell you about is the technology and the quality on offer. This is a top spec Dynamique S model, so that means we get lashings of this glossy piano black trim on the center console, on the wheel, on the doors. There's also chrome surround here and this very funky red dashboard which matches the exterior paint. The technology story, well, it all comes down to this 7-inch screen we've got on the dash here. It's called R-Link. It's a £450 option and it does all the usual stuff like sat-nav, Bluetooth, stereo, but it also allows you to download apps from its very own app store. And I'm told one of those apps allows you to download various engine noises so you can make your Clio sound like a race car. Unfortunately, this particular model doesn't have that software installed, but never mind, we're going to go for a drive anyway. This engine I'm driving here is a new 90 horsepower 1.5 diesel. Now that returns over 80 mpg and just 90 grams per kilometre of CO2 in standard trim. If you order an eco pack, that will cost you 250 quid and adds things like low resistance tyres and longer gear ratios. Well, that climbs to an amazing 88.3 mpg and just 83 grams per kilometre of CO2. Now with figures like that, you'd expect this to be super slow, super dreary engine to drive, but actually it's really smooth, it's really torquey, and even on motorways it's really easy to keep up with the rest of the traffic. Okay, it's not fast and thrilling, but with figures like that, what do you expect? The other story under the bonnet, well, that's a brand new 3-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine, the first time Renault's ever had a 3-cylinder. That produces 90 horsepower as well, and just under 100 grams per kilometre of CO2. Renault tells me the steering ratio in this car is a little bit quicker than before, and it's also lost an average of 100 kilograms compared to the model it replaces. So that should translate into much nimbler handling. And yes, on the move, it does feel a little bit more agile, but that's not really the point with this car. It's actually been set up with comfort in mind, and that's no bad thing. The suspension, well, it's nice and soft and supple, and in the corners it feels nice and stable. So if you're after excitement, I'm afraid you're going to have to wait until the 200 horsepower Renault Sport version arrives. But for now, this will do very nicely. Renault is happy to admit that this is a make or break car for them, and I'm happy to report that it's a winner. It's fun, it's forward thinking, it's super refined. Okay, so it's not the most thrilling car to drive in the world, but we've got the Renault Sport version next summer for that. And with prices starting at just $10,595, this is a small car that does a very good impression of a big one.